More than 2,500 years ago, the ancient tribe of Gad, one of the lost tribes of Israel, was exiled from the Holy Land. The Gadarenes then disappeared from history. But did they? According to prophecy, they will return at the end of days. But from where? Is it possible that they've been hiding in plain sight in the area of modern-day Spain? In biblical times, Israel was made up of 12 tribes named after the sons of the patriarch Jacob. 10 of the tribes settled on the west side of the Jordan River, modern Israel. 2.5 of the tribes lived on the east side of the river, modern Jordan. One of these was called Gad. The Gadarenes flourished, building remarkable cities like this one, which, hundreds of years after the exile of the Gadarenes, was still called Gadara, in memory of its original inhabitants. So this is the gate to Gadara?
This is the gate of the 1st century AD to Gadara.
Around 733 BC, 10 of the 12 tribes of Israel were conquered and exiled by the Assyrian Empire. Where did the Gadarenes of Gadara go to? Can we find them? As it turns out, at the same time as the exile of the tribe of Gad, a new colony was established in southern Spain. A few weeks' journey by boat from ancient Israel, it was called Gadir, then Gadara, modern Cadiz. Who were the people that arrived here at that time? Can it be that they were the lost Israelite tribe of Gad? Interestingly, the biblical prophet Obadiah says that some of the lost tribes fled to Spain. Incredibly, to this day, people living in Cadiz don't call themselves Cadizians. Rather, they call themselves Gaditanos, Gadites. But is there any hard archaeological evidence linking the lost tribe of Gad to southern Spain? Overlooked in a corner of the Museum of Cadiz is an ancient inscription that dates to the 8th century BC, when the tribe of Gad would have arrived here. The inscription is in ancient Hebrew, and it reads, "My father is Gad." I now meet up with Professor Diego Mata, who brings to life ancient Gadara.
Y últimamente, a través del estudio de unas fotografías aéreas, hemos podido ver el lugar donde se hacían los barcos, donde se guardaban las mercancías. Esta es una ciudad portuaria. Tenemos un puerto que no hay nada parecido en todo el Mediterráneo.
According to Professor Mata, Doña Blanca was the ancient port of Cadiz. Geological research shows that 2,000 years ago, instead of flatlands, there was a rocky shore here and a sharp drop-off around the ruined city. Archaeological digs have also revealed a massive necropolis, a cemetery, a city of the dead. Thousands were buried here.
Está la ciudad, que es donde estamos ahora, a la espalda. La necrópolis es una necrópolis enorme, son 2 millones de metros cuadrados.
Although scholars call the people who built these tombs Phoenicians, the tombs also conform to the traditions of early Israelites, like the tribe of Gad. Steps lead to a low door, which opens into a man-made cave, surrounded by several chambers where the deceased would have been laid. This is exactly the burial structure of tombs discovered in Jerusalem. More than 700 years after the exile of the tribe of Gad, the Gospel of Mark mentions a mysterious people called the Gadarenes. Mark says that on the shore of their land there was a necropolis. he describes some of these Gadarenes as early followers of Jesus. Are the Gospels referring to the lost Hebrew-speaking tribe of Gad? Is there any hard archaeological evidence of early Hebrew-speaking Christians in Spain? If there is, that would suggest that at the time of Jesus, this area could have been home to the lost tribe of Gad. I make my way to the Archaeological Museum of Mallorca. Here I find 3 lead Hebrew-inscribed anchors discovered in an early Christian necropolis. Anchors are perhaps the earliest symbols of Christianity. They were regarded as symbols of hope and safety. Here, someone was literally buried with 3 anchors. The local curators are not familiar with the Hebrew script.
Ah, that's really heavy.
Y aparecieron en un contexto de necrópolis.
Necropolis?
Sí. Se llaman paleocristianos porque son los más antiguos que están documentados que tuvieran presencia en la isla. Y que las 3 llevan una inscripción en alfabeto hebreo.
The Hebrew inscription names the man buried here with these anchors. He was called Samuel, son of Hanai. Suddenly, as a Hebrew speaker, I noticed something.
There's more inscriptions here, more ancient inscriptions. See here? I see here, this looks like either an Aleph or a Mem. This is a Shin. Let me get this straight. Somebody was buried with this?
Sí. Las lápidas fueron halladas sobre una sepultura, con el cuerpo orientado hacia Jerusalén.
My observation draws the attention of the head curator of the museum.
This is R. Yerusha. It may say from Jerusalem. Have you ever seen this before?
No, never.
Although the inscription has to be studied more thoroughly, it is safe to say that we've now identified a 2nd century Jewish Christian burial that is commemorated with anchors and is possibly linked to Jerusalem. These anchors might be archaeological evidence that the descendants of the lost Jewish tribe of Gad were called Gadarenes by the Gospels and lived in Spanish Mallorca. In the Gospel of Matthew, Jesus tells his disciples that the second coming would only happen when the lost tribes of Israel rejoined the Jewish people in the Holy Land. Were the Gadarenes influenced by this idea? As it turns out, there may be evidence of Christianized Gadarenes who journeyed to Jerusalem after Jesus' crucifixion. Incredibly, under the Church of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem, the traditional location of the crucifixion, hidden from public view, is Christianity's earliest inscription. It may be powerful evidence that at least one member of the tribe of Gad came home to Israel. A door behind the altar leads to a tunnel and a long walk beneath the traditional site of Jesus' burial.
Secret chapel.
And there, next to an altar dedicated to the Virgin Mary, is a 2nd century graffiti of a seafaring boat. Beneath it, there's a Latin inscription suggesting that it came from the west. The man or woman who drew this may very well have been a seafarer who came from Spain.
What we can see here is a boat where you can see the mast. The sails are in red, very difficult to see. You can see the oars, you can see the steering tail. You've got everything here. I see here a pilgrim coming from the western part of the empire. It can be as far as Spain. He says 2 things. First of all, see how I came here, by boat. But the most important, the most significant thing is the inscription which says Domine Ivimus, in Latin, which means, "O Lord, we have come."
Can it be that after more than 700 years of exile, at least some Christianized Gadarenes made it back home? The fact is that someone drew the picture of a boat at Christianity's holiest site in Jerusalem. This same person came across the Mediterranean from the west. All the evidence hints at the possibility that the lost tribe of Gad may have colonized southern Spain, and its descendants may still be living there.